Hello everyone. In previous videos you've seen us clean the back area up behind the single wide. Today we're going to get working on some of the items that need to be fixed with the trailer. The first thing we're going to work on is this back porch light, which the previous owners had converted into an outlet so that they could run heat tape around the pipes that were inside of the pressure tank. There aren't any working outlets on the outside of the trailer, so we also wanted to use this light as a form of outlet for anything that we wanted to use in the backyard. So we went online and found a modern light fixture that has a GFI receptacle on the bottom. I have pretty good knowledge of electrical, and the installation of this lamp was pretty easy. What we didn't show you though is that this is probably the third time that I've taken this off of the trailer. Every time I installed it, the bottom receptacle would work for all the GFI, but the light would never light up. Initially I thought it was defective, but my wife Emily looked up online and found out that it has a sensor on it that has a day and night feature, and if you would just cover it up, the light would work perfectly fine. Next, we wanted to relocate the pressure tank a little bit further away from the back door. We found a small storage shed online that was about the perfect size for the pressure tank. I started off building the base of the shed so that I could get an exact size for a platform to place it on. I initially thought this piece of a pallet would work, but it was too small. Luckily, there was an insulated piece of the back wall from the previous structure that I was able to repurpose for a base. All I needed to do is add a couple of 2x4s to the side and it would work perfect. Most of the time I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but for a job like this, a chainsaw ought to work just fine for trimming up the edges. And there we have it, an insulated base that'll keep this pressure tank warm and cozy. Once we get it into its proper location, we can install the base and start working on the outsides of the structure. Oops, we still have electrical connected. I guess it'll have to go under. There is a sensor on the tank that is connected to the electrical for the water pump. Initially, I didn't want to have to cut any of this and I was going to build the structure around it. But it proved to be a little bit more difficult, and with it being broken, I thought, let's just disconnect everything and get it properly sealed up so that there's no water intrusion through the winter. I started off by marking each wire with a different color piece of tape. This way I could line them all up later when I needed to put them back together. With that all disconnected, it also made it easier to build the structure. The plans had me start off building the back wall. I'm going to speed the rest of this up so that it's not boring watching me put together the rest of the shed. And here you have it, one finished shed. The next thing I plan to do is finish foam board on the inside for insulation and do all the electrical and all the plumbing that still has to run inside. Next, it was time to get working on removing the broken back door. We got a little bit of snow the night before, so it was nice to see that the shed kept everything dry and warm. There were a whole lot of self-tapping screws that held this frame to the side of the trailer, so we've got to remove all of those first. The hardest ones to remove were actually located under this rain shield. There sure are a lot of screws. I guess that's good news, and it'll be nice and tight when we get the new door installed. There was also a bit of adhesive that held everything to the trailer. I had to get this broken free, but once it was, the frame came right out. I had to remove some insulation they installed, but once that was clear, we could finally get a view into our hallway. There was a little bit of cleanup needed with the adhesive and the trim before the door could be rehung. A few more staples to pull and some inside trim pieces to remove, and we'd be ready. Or so I thought. I wanted to be gentle and delicate while removing the trim pieces. I didn't want to break it because there might be a chance we'll use it later. There was some extra trim inside of the stud framing that I needed to get rid of for the door to fit. After testing to ensure that the door fit properly, I pulled it back off and wiped down the sides so that I could put in the new adhesive. This adhesive is crucial to keeping water and air out. I pulled the backing off of the adhesive, aligned the door to make sure it was straight, and asked my wife to come out and help me start with a couple of screws. She's kind of like an amphibian. Anything below 30 and she doesn't like to move. But once you get it above 40, she'll come out and help. Now I'm just kidding. She bundles up more than I do, but she's always willing to help. I temporarily fit the door handle in so that I could make sure it opened and closed properly. Then it's time to install all the rest of the screws. I finish installing the handle, make sure everything lines up, and this door project is complete. The old metal stairs could use some new wood, but that's a project for another day. Come back and see us then.